I can't believe I'm reporting this, but there's an actual shortage of Gunpla kits in Japan. Certainly a very interesting development for 2021. There's been actually quite a few reports of people not able to find the certain model or grade of kits in Japan in the last couple of months, but recently there are a lot more grumbling on social media platforms, and the one I caught on to is from Gouki in Japan. So thanks to him, I'm able to share his personal experience and also pictures when he actually go and shop for Gunpla. I think previously where he's able to find kits or see kits scattered everywhere across the stores, right now he actually has to hunt for those particular model kits. So a big thank you again to Gouki in Japan for allowing me to share his tweets and also his photos. Go follow him for all the latest Plamo and also Gunpla news in Japan on Twitter, obviously. So why is this happening? Obviously a lot of things has changed, and I think on my personal experience, when I go to Japan, either walk to Yodobashi or Big Camera, you can pretty much find any particular model of Gunpla and grade that you want. I was seriously big experience for me. The first time I was in Japan to see, the aisles and aisles of Gunpla that you can actually just spend your money on. It was so easy and such a great experience. But now in 2021, obviously there are some reasons why this is happening in Japan. So I'll share with you the 4 top reasons why I think there is a Gunpla shortage that's happening in Japan right now. Reason number 1 is increased domestic demand. Obviously with COVID-19, everybody's locked down. You have a lot more time. And what do you do with this time, right? Obviously building Gunpla is the best use of time, and it's also quite economical, I would say, right? So with the increased domestic demand, I think Bandai is also struggling to keep up the increased demand for various Gunpla kits and grades that they can produce. With so many type of SKU that Bandai has, is probably a big challenge for them as well. And I get to that on point number 4 again. Let's revisit this point later on. Point number 2, increased foreign demand. Markets like China, Vietnam, Malaysia, Singapore, Thailand and Hong Kong, some of these markets are already, has been in the market for Gunpla. There's a big community there for a while now, but there's actually a lot more people coming into the hobby as well. So all this foreign demand outside of Japan is also starting to take up the stock allocation that's available for Japan to markets outside of Japan. Obviously, Bandai would love to develop those markets as well, to grow those markets and to grow the revenue as a long-term strategy. So I think this is one of the reasons why they are not seeing as many kids in Japan versus as you leave from Japan to countries like Malaysia or Thailand or Singapore. Personally, I've been to stores in Hong Kong, Singapore, Thailand and even Malaysia, obviously, right? And I would say that the Gunpla stores in Malaysia and these countries are pretty well stocked. You can pretty much find any kits, any models you want with relatively ease. While the selection is not as big as what you can find in Big Camera or Yodobashi, it certainly is nothing to sniff at. So yes, stocks are quite abundant in those markets. So definitely a lot of stocks has been going in to other countries like Malaysia, Hong Kong, Singapore, Thailand, and also other countries as well, right? I'm not too sure about the situation in Northern America and Europe, but I do think that Bandai is also trying very hard to grow those countries as well. Okay, so that's point number 2. Point number 3. Now this is an interesting one, right? I don't know about you guys, but if you've been following my channel, you will see that there's actually been quite a lot of new, okay, maybe not new, but reissued, reproduced old kits that's been going straight to Gundam base and also premium Bandai instead of retail. So this is one new development that is puzzling me, right? Because obviously I thought that with all these old kits being reproduced, reprinted, they should just go back to retail, because there is always a new demand, because people coming into the hobby, they've probably not seen the older kits before, they want to try out those old kits. But right now Bandai is actually reissuing quite a lot of the older reprints and also reproduced kits straight into Gundam base and also premium Bandai. So yeah, that is a new interesting development in the last couple of years. Luckily for Malaysia or this part of the world, there are still some of the older reprint kits that managed to make it into the retail stores in this part of the world, but I don't know for how long. So that's actually quite interesting. Okay, and I'm going to go to point number 4, and this is probably the last point, and I think this is an issue with the production capacity that Bandai can actually do, right? This is the reason why Bandai opened up Gundam Factory Yokohama in the first place. because the first factory was already at max capacity. They couldn't cope with the demand for Gunpla kit as demand in new countries like China, Vietnam continues to grow. No doubt, Bandai will continue to ramp up production with Gundam Factory Yokohama as it tries to increase revenue for their Gunpla segment. Don't forget, Bandai actually makes money from a lot of different segments, and if you want to find out our in-depth investigation into their latest fiscal sales breakdown by category, check out our previous video on the top right corner right now. Okay, so this is the other reason, right? I think Bandai is only slowly ramping up Gundam Factory Yokohama. So once these two factories are at full capacity, they should be able to serve more markets, and including local demand, domestic demand as well. So those are the 4 reasons why I think Japanese builders are finding it hard to find certain model kits that they want, where usually they can just go in there and just grab whatever they want. Okay, and this is actually quite interesting because as shared by Gouki-san in Japan, as you can see how certain of the retail stores in Japan, they just put the same model kit spread out across the entire aisle just to fill the gap. So that's actually quite sad to see, right? So what is next? So this is quite interesting, right? So I've been rambling on and on about the 4 points of why there is a Gunpla shortage in Japan. So what's next? Well, I for one am no longer unhappy with my backlog, right? If you see my previous video, I have over 100 of Gunpla kits in my collection. I used to sell my Gunpla kits when I'm sometimes short of cash, and I'll tell myself, don't worry, if I sell this master grade or I sell this high grade, I will be able to buy it back later, 6 months later when I have more cash. So, but nowadays this may not hold true, because as Bandai continues to increase more and more new SKUs, the library of products they can produce and reprint have to follow a specific and very strict schedule for Gunpla builders. So be careful with what you sell in your backlog, because that may not be quite easy to find in the near future. Case in point, the PS2 1 Year War Master Grade kits. It was reprinted just, I believe, late last year, and those series went straight into Premium Bandai and also Gundam Base. So I'm still waiting to get my hands on those kits in retail in Malaysia, but it's been really challenging, and the price has been really high as well. Okay, and number 2, what's next? Well, I will certainly no longer take the certain model kits that I have and also SKU availability for granted. As a Malaysian Gunpla builder and collector, every time we walk into a Gunpla store, we will see like, oh, there's plenty of stocks. I don't have to worry. Most stocks have these kits. I can buy them 3 months later, 6 months later, only to see that this kind of kits will, sell out very quickly, and the next time you want to buy them, you will actually have to wait years and years for Bandai to actually reprint the same particular kit that you want. Case in point, the next time I see high-grade reissues of the Gundam Age kits, I will just buy them straight up right now. So I'm not going to wait anymore, because it's going to be very difficult to find any of these reprints when that situation hits. So that's point number 2. Now, will the Gunpla shortage in Japan continue, right? So this is quite an interesting debate. Obviously, with the entire COVID-19 situation, still a lot of countries are in lockdown, including Malaysia. And we are spending those time buying up more kits, spending more time building our kits as well. I do think that Bandai is having a very hard time to ramp up production, even with 2 factories at maximum production capabilities and max speed, max capacity. They will probably take 12 to 24 months. That is my guess. I hope I'm wrong. And the thing is, when Bandai actually resumes or ramps up their production schedule, will we actually see more of the older kits, or will we still continue to see new kits from new series? Bandai is trying very hard to push new SKUs out in the market. The Girl Gun Lady, the SD Gundam World Heroes, the ADCS series. So there are a lot of new SKUs being introduced that Bandai wants to focus on, because as the factory ramps up, they can only produce so many SKUs at the same time to satisfy the demand for all markets, not only in Japan. So this is going to be quite interesting, right? And even if Bandai manages to ramp up and increase production and optimize production for their Gunpla kits, we would also leaves a very big question. Will Bandai continue to to send all those old reprints into premium Bandai and also the satellite stores like Gundam Base, Fukuoka and the rest, that is also a very big question mark, right? So for me, I would definitely be hanging on to my older kits. I think some of the kits are actually quite hard to find, and for those newer kits like the Gundam SD World Heroes, Giga Lady, I think probably it will not be such a big challenge to find those kits in store. So that is what I think is what's going to happen next. I don't know whether and how long this situation is going to persist for the Gunpla builders in Japan, but I hope Bandai can actually ramp up production soon to meet everybody's demand for Gunpla kits. But at the end of the other side of the coin is definitely we are seeing a lot more demand from the market for Gunpla kits. So I think overall it's a very good sign for Bandai, because there's going to be a lot more people getting into the hobby as well, because there's nothing to do at home. They're trying to try their hands at something new. They want to learn something new as well. So I think all in all, Bandai would definitely see nothing but growth for this particular segment under their revenue breakdown for the next year. And once the Gundam live action movie actually hits the market, I think then the market will probably have a higher demand from all newcomers alike as well. So yeah, that's going to be quite interesting to see how these things will pan out. So I'm sorry I've been rambling on for 11 minutes, but thank you all for listening. I would love to hear from you guys, especially for those in Japan, Northern America, Europe. Do let me know what you guys are facing in terms of getting the right Gunpla kit that you want. Are you guys seeing a lot of difficulty in getting the kits that you want, or do you think that it's actually not a problem? You know, in my part of the world, it's actually quite easy. Like Malaysia, Hong Kong, Singapore, Thailand, actually it's quite easy to get the Gunpla kits that you want. Maybe because that's why the allocation of stocks from Japan has been coming to this part of the world. Okay, so there you have it, folks. This is my view of why there's a shortage of Gunpla kits in Japan. And again, a very big thank you to Gouki in Japan for sharing his pictures and allowing me to share his tweet as well. A very big question for everybody here: would you like me to do a regular Friday or Saturday show? So I'm still thinking if I can lock down a fixed schedule so I can create a video every Saturday or Saturday, depending on everybody's availability as well. So there you have it, folks. This is the Gunpla shortage situation in Japan. Thanks for watching. Stay safe, and I'll see you guys down in the comment section below.